Signores, I must tell you about a little trick that Senior Santa Claus has played on me. Okay, maybe I was being too greedy to ask him for a big present. But my goodness, look at what Senior Santa Claus has given to me. See? The hat I got for Christmas is too big. It is nice, but my sombrero is too big. If you wonder why I shiver, I fell 3 times in the river, 'cause the hat I got for Christmas is too big. But ring the bells and beat the drum. Ring the bells and beat the drum. I'll ring the bells to be polite. But if I see that Santa Claus, I'm gonna start a fight. See? The hat I got for Christmas is too big. It is nice, but my sombrero is too big. Can't tell one thing from another. I got married to my brother, 'cause the hat I got for Christmas is too big. But ring the bells and beat the drum. Ring the bells and beat the drum. I'll ring the bells, but I feel sick, 'cause Mr. Santa Claus, you played on me a dirty trick.
We wish you a Irie Christmas. Oh, year and New Year's are just the same.
Signores, I must tell you about a little trick that Senior Santa Claus has played on me. Okay, maybe I was being too greedy to ask him for a big present. But my goodness, look at what Senior Santa Claus has given to me. See? The hat I got for Christmas is too big. It is nice, but my sombrero is too big. If you wonder why I shiver, I fell 3 times in the river, 'cause the hat I got for Christmas is too big. But ring the bells and beat the drum. Ring the bells and beat the drum. I'll ring the bells to be polite. But if I see that Santa Claus, I'm gonna start a fight. See? The hat I got for Christmas is too big. It is nice, but my sombrero is too big. me brother, cause the hat I got for Christmas is too big. But ring the bells and beat the drum. Ring the bells and beat the drum. I'll ring the bells, but I feel sick. Cause Mr. Santa Claus, you played on me a dirty trick.
We wish you a Irie Christmas. Oh, here in New Year's I just say Christmas on a broke pocket day. We wish you a Irie Christmas. We wish you a Irie Christmas. We wish you a Irie Christmas and a dance all New Year. Great tidings, Natty Jane bring you. Great tidings, Natty Jane bring you. Great tidings, Natty Jane bring you. And a dance all New Year. We skank and rock it to the rhythm.
Yes, indeed, of course, a pleasant good night to all and sundry. I'm just enjoying it. I trust that you are as well. In this, of course, horrendous period in the life or in the epoch of Trinidad and Tobago's political, social, and economic history.
And a dance all New Year. You love up, you rub up on a Christmas. You rub up, you scrub up on a Christmas. You rub up and you dub up on a Christmas. And a dance all New Year. We wish you merry, 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 merry Icemas on a broke pocket day. Not even 1 cent to buy a little toy. We dance and rock it to the Icemas. We rub it and scrub it to the Icemas. We rub it and dub it to the Christmas. On a broke pocket this year. Everybody gonna jump in and a shouting. Everybody gonna jump in and a shouting. Everybody gonna jump in and a shouting. And Ben Johnson dear, we wish you a Irie Christmas. We wish you a Irie Christmas.
Yes, indeed, a pleasant good night to all and sundry. This is, of course, the Corridor Transformation. Your host, Lennox Smith. On this, of course, not yet penultimate, not yet. We just have one more day to go before the penultimate. The penultimate, of course, is the day before. And so we are here on this is Saturday evening. And, of course, wishing you from the onset the best for the Christmas, in spite of or because of or no matter what your circumstance is. I would implore and beseech you to, of course, try to adapt and adjust. But always remembering that 2024 is to come and the hardship is impending, waiting there, if you want to call it, around the corner, so that the way that you manage your finances, the way you manage your home situation, the way you manage your work situation, the way you manage your banking situation, I think it is good advice. It is good advice. But the common thread, some like to call it in law the golden thread. But like I would call it, of course, the most nasty and pernicious thread in all of this that is impacting the quality of your life, the type of salary you receive, if at all any, the level of increase. Because don't tell me that 250 is sufficient when, of course, you would have gotten much more if the present administrators of our business, who are in fact ubiquitous, they are involved in every damn thing, and because they are and have been given, of course, the privilege, but they see it as a consequence of their own volition and some kind of mysteriously entitlement to, of course, act and do what they are doing to us. Totally contradictory and a total and absolute anathema or antithesis. But that level of anathema, that level of hatred that they have for us, we must not only reciprocate, but we must tell them where to get off. 2024 probably is that year into 2025. Let's go straight to the lines. I see that people are already, of course, here and are willing to make their contribution. A pleasant good night. Welcome.
Thank you, Lennox. So we just jump right in because we don't want to spend too much time, right? Because it's the eve before Christmas Eve, right?
Yes.
So okay, so I wanna let's zero right in on the Prime Minister's press conference that we had with Stuart Young, okay?
Yes.
And the Prime Minister gave this press conference and was very proud and was shaking hands, and Stuart Young was waving and laughing. And the Prime Minister said something that I found, it made me so enraged and so angry. I was like, what the hell wrong with this man? He said that the dragon deal is going to bring in a lot of money, basically. And he said the people will love it. Well, he didn't say really love it. He said that money will come in and you will continue to enjoy the standard of living you have right now, that you have grown accustomed to, and it will continue. And he smiled. Mr. Prime Minister, 86% of our people have no freaking running water 24/7. And Marvin Gonzalez said that 60% getting water now. You went from 15-20% of our people having water to 86% having no water now. He said 60% have water. You believe those numbers? Where are those communities getting water? I want to see the map. I want to see the distribution and the water pipes.
Yes,
how many roads did they fix? CNN said 600 roads were fixed. They patched up 600 roads. And let me tell you something, the guys who were fixing those roads didn't freaking have boots. They were wearing flip. So let me tell you something. Is that the standard of living you want? You want a school that is falling down? You want children beaten up in school? You want to go to the supermarket, you can't get groceries, you're getting mugged, you're getting home invasion crime, and he tells us that is the standard of living, the quality of life that we are accustomed to? This man is insane. He is insane, and he's not bipolar. Bipolar people are sometimes referred to as manipulative, and they're not. Many bipolar people are very gifted. This Prime Minister is evil. He talks about the Lokoto Jambi, and he talks about Masi and the Oracle, and we did that in the slave master days. This man is a moron. Are you any intelligent people listening to this man and questioning him? The media just sits there and says, "Oh, Mr. Prime Minister, so how was trip?" And yeah, Mr. Prime Minister, I love your suit. I like your watch, your shoes. This man, he brings nothing to us. All these children academically, what are they going to achieve? They will leave this country, go to a first world country, and help that first world country soar. Because education brings people together. It lifts everybody up. But this Prime Minister, he is like a masochist. He's a sadomasochist. Put on a Patrice, that girl costume on him, give him a belt and a whip, and let him die. That's how I feel. He beating us, man, to tell us that we are accustomed to this life, while many other countries who are now coming out of poverty, trying so hard to build their country, he is not helping us. He's telling us, be happy. I go take that money now and I'm going to use it for upstream, downstream. I have to get a pipeline. I have some hardware. I have my friends up in Grandy who have a politician guy who get money, and he have a gravel in place, and we got some people doing some other stuff there, and we have Amalgamated picking up garbage, Ruka and Amalgamated is doing all the security in the country, and we got the George family, the Syrian, who changed their name to George. They're not really George, but they changed their name to a white man named George, and they're high level officials in the PNM. All of this is facts, man. And people living like dogs in the freaking villages, man. Come on, Lennox. Listen, we have to, the UNC needs guidance. Yeah, I'm telling you. Senator Mark, poor Wade Mark, he gets up there and when he talks, nobody listens. But we don't know Mark's backstory. What we should start doing now in your show is when we talk about the Prime Minister, when we talk about Stuart Young, when we talk about all these senators, we need to, especially Ember, we need to tell people who are these people, where did they come from, where did they go to school, how did they grow up, who are their parents, what kind of life they had, and how did they end up in politics. Because many young people have no idea. These people just pop up. They pop up and we have no idea, and we always know that they are corrupted. So many of our young people will never vote because that's all they know. It's like, oh, he's corrupted. Let us share that story about these people. The Chinese community, I'll share something with you, Lennox. I'm going to share this with you.
Go ahead.
When slavery started, when the British brought slavery and they started planting sugar cane, because remember sugar, they started making tea for the rich people,
yes.
to drink tea in England,
Yep.
Right. And so what happened was in the beginning, they started bringing Chinese. They brought I forget how many, a shipload of Chinese down to the Caribbean, and they all died. Only 12 survived. They could not cut the sugar cane. They could not survive the heat. They died of snake bites. And remember, these guys had no boots and gloves and masks. They were barefoot using their bare hands. And then they brought in the Africans. And the Africans, man, those guys worked that slave like a dog. No gloves, no shoes, no boots, beaten, you're raped. Men got raped during slavery. A lot of men did, a lot of boys did. A lot of them were sex slaves, and nobody talks about that. And then we talk about the oppression now. And then they brought, when they had some sympathy because of religious reasons and economic, they bring the Indians in, and the condition never changed. A lot of people walk away with blue eyes and light skin because they were raped when they actually raped. So what I'm saying to you is this: we come from a country of oppression where this history of slavery has embraced us and enveloped us. And what we need to do now is free ourselves from this kind of bondage and this thinking, because the Prime Minister is not taking us forward. He loves the Chinese businessmen now, because they never really built Trinidad with the sugar cane. The Chinese never did. But now they're coming to build the Silk Road and they want to have all this thing. And people talk about how the Chinese work. I don't care. Because the Syrians did the same thing. There were white people came on our boat as investors. They say, I came with no money, I'm selling clothes. Did you work in a sugar plantation and cut sugar cane? We're living in Haiti. There was another island of Haiti that the United States, during colonialism and during slave trade, there's a little island of Haiti that is so beautiful and pristine that nobody lives on the island, but the island was filled with birds in the 1800s. And you know what the white people in America did, the investors? They put slaves to live on that island, all men. And every day, you know what they did? They took their bare hands, no clothes, bare hands, and menial food to pick up chicken, bird poop, filled it in bags. I'm talking thousands of bags of bird poop, and they took it back to America for fertilizer. That is the same thing that happened in the Caribbean and South America when they were building the Netherlands and the tulips. The tulips came because of agriculture. So I have to tell you something. You have to know the history of oppression. And this Prime Minister blinds us. He doesn't teach us the knowledge that is global. He said, all you like to keep your quality of life and standard of living. What the hell does he know about standard of living and quality of life? This man doesn't even live in this freaking country. He jet setting everywhere. Tomorrow he going to New York, he go back for Christmas. Lennox, I'm just so infuriated today.
That's quite right. That's quite right.
I have no... Am I wrong to feel this way?
No, not at all, not at all. I will be the first to, of course, endorse your sentiments and your irascibility. By now, I thought you would have had more people like you by now. I mean, I'm certain that we are getting there.
I think so, because you are on my side. And we are brothers and sisters in arms, and we will continue to do this and talk about this and educate the people who listen and who want to use technology not for bad purposes, but to share information, right, Lennox? Lennox, I'm going to let you go now. Let other people call and make a contribution.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. But
thank you.
We need more people like that to air their true inner sentiments as to the circumstances of Trinidad and Tobago today. Of course, nestled in their own experiences, because as I've always said, experience is the best teacher. But she is correct. Dr. Rowley today was, of course, in his usual platitudinous, vacuous, nonsensical, and of course, contemptuous utterances and attitude. His body language demonstrates a level of egotistic, what I consider to be evil, egotistic evil. And of course, his narcissistic nature has no limit. As he boasted once again, as he boasted about sandals, as he boasted about closing down Petrotrin to save us. And then, of course, Paria and the Unherited was supposed, of course, to replace what Petrotrin as a collective engaged in those fragmented areas was supposed to do. Generate, instead of one umbrella entity managing all of those activities, segmentalize them and fragmented them, and so each one are what I consider to be an island unto themselves or a law unto themselves, and the outcome is what? Failure. Failure. I ain't finished yet, you know. That is just the tip of the iceberg. Any money Rowley say that coming into the country, please tell Rowley keep it and get out of the office of Prime Minister. Keep it and get out of the office of Prime Minister. In other words, I am not saying that he should keep it personally, you know. I am saying the talk, he should keep it and get out of our faces. Because no way the tragedy and the profligacy and the waste, the corruption, the nepotism, the cronyism cannot, what he has done and his minions and his mafia syndicate entity, that cannot compensate. Them all talking. We have been there. We have heard it already. It is not only regurgitating, but it is like a recurrent decimal, the nonsense that he speaks. And let us not waste time with not understanding what we are facing here. We are facing a desperate man who, of course, will jump at anything. He will even jump out the window if a rope was hanging. Of course, we want to hang it as loosely as possible so he could have, and hopefully that the window through which he's jumping, of course, is about 5 or 10 or 17 stories high. And of course, the rope itself is loose. So the sudden stop will, of course, ensure his, of course, extinction from our faces and from the activities of Trinidad and Tobago. This man doesn't know when to stop. And I heard him in a tirade with respect to the Americans and so on and so forth. He playing with fire, you know. He playing with fire. That man looking for lockup, you know. He looking to go out of this world in disgrace, you know. And he's going to get it. There is a saying by the senior citizens, the old people say, be careful what you wish for, you're going to get it. Because to me, he is testing and he is, of course, challenging, and he is actually taunting everybody, including the population. What are the realities? Well, apart from the $500 million that Sandals was supposed to bring, he told us that then. Apart from his fragmenting of Petrotrin in order for Heritage to make this lump sum of money that, and of course from time to time they will of course say what profits that it would have been making. Not that the Not that we are unaware, or if we are, let me tell you that Petrotrin was making the same amount of blasted money. What heritage he say making Petrotrin as it was and Compose was making the same amount of money. The only difference is it was making more because it was Imbert who come back and said that the oil refinery, after 100,000 barrels of oil that it would import in order, of course, to make it viable. And because of the monopoly that we have with the smaller islands up the Caribbean and, of course, as part of CARICOM, the oil refinery by itself was making is a net earner of foreign exchange. Net earner of foreign exchange, meaning that it was making up. And don't get me vexed before I present it, because I didn't come to present that tonight. But of course, I had to piggyback on what the first caller said, because it's all right to be angry. It's all right to be apoplectic. It's all right to be in a state of anger because you are in pain and you know that it is unnecessary and it is not just unnecessary, but it is cause. You know the cause, and you can't reach that cause because that cause in paying attention, and they continue, of course, to live in this fantasy world that they are doing well, so it's plenty money, and it's always something represented. And when the time comes, when the acid test reaches, you hear another faux pas, another failure, another the UNC went and talked to somebody in Australia, or they talked to Sandals, and so we didn't get it. A little pommy one and a little child or infant that exhibiting, of course, for a big man, infantile behavior, like the toddler that I spoke to you about some time ago and will continue so to do. A hot cup of water, and the child seemed to have a fixation to go and pull it off the table. And when mommy or daddy turned their back, they got the opportunity and went, of course, and pull it on themselves. And you know what has happened? Well, that is Rowley. It's just that the scars has not yet arrived. But he has pulled that hot cup of water, boiling water, on himself and his government. I ain't finished yet to say. He promised us in 2015 that if it is that we voted for the PNM, let's go back to the lines. Let's go back to the lines. If you're angry tonight, I have no difficulty with that. In the penultimate to the penultimate day of Christmas. A pleasant good night.
Okay, Lennox, it's me again. And
Yes.
I just wish more people would call and just make a contribution to the program, because it's a free call on WhatsApp, right? You don't have to pay
it
for
is.
this call. And
Yes.
so people should take
WhatsApp
advantage
only,
of that.
yes.
And even if you think you may sound stupid, but who cares, make a contribution to the program, and let's support Lennox on his YouTube channel, because it is a very important program. Sometimes I fall asleep, Lennox, because I'm so tired, because I get up at 4 in the morning. But I want to say something else to you, Lennox. I
Thank you
listen
very
to
much.
Miss Arima speak every time on the ground report. And I like Miss Arima. She speaks truth. And she's kind of blunt, which I am too. And I'm glad that she's still on the air, and I support her. And I also like Mr. Tunapuna. He makes a lot of contributions, and all of the stuff he says is true. Although sometimes he kind of crossed the line. Same thing with Miss Arima. But a lot of what they say, the majority, I would say 99% of the stuff they say, 98% is accurate. And it's true about the Indian community. There's a lot of racism in the Indian community, and it's because of the decades of ingrained hatred towards African people. It was in my own family. A lot of Hindu Indian people don't like African people because they don't know them. And a lot of African people, Afro Trinidadians, they don't like Indian people because they don't know our culture. All they think about is, what is Indian people? Well, is drinking ram, dal, and rice and curry chicken. And when people think about African people, Trinidad, or what is that? Oh, it's about whining and dancing. That is so inaccurate. And those stereotypes gets perpetuated by our prime minister. He perpetuates those stereotypes,
Yes, yes.
and that has to stop.
That's right.
And the media does it too.
Yeah.
The media makes our people look like buffoons. And I hate to say this, Ian Allen does a great job too, doesn't he? All right, let me leave it there. I'm gonna. I'll stop. All right, bye.
I don't know. I don't know if you mean you stop very open. So I don't know if you mean a good job as a buffoon or a good job as maybe a presenter of information. But we will leave it there. I'm sure that you will have an opportunity to, of course, clarify in terms of exactly what you mean by doing a good job. That being as of course before the call, and of course yes indeed, of course don't forget the lines are open. Only WhatsApp. 337-6940. 337-6940 is a thing with me. I don't like to promote myself and so on. So, but of course, in the coming weeks and months and so on, we need, of course, to make certain that you follow, you like, you share, so that, of course, more and more can, of course, benefit from what is being offered, simply because we want to go international and of course communicate with a number of world leaders across the globe in the new year. A pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Well, good night and season greetings to you, sir. This is Apache calling in here.
Yes, indeed.
I want to say blessings to you. I want to say blessings to you and your family, and of course, the ground report and everybody in Trinidad and Tobago. That also include the Venice, because after all, they're in Trinidad. You know what I mean, right?
Yes. They are here.
After all, they're in Trinidad.
Yeah,
they are here. So let's celebrate and enjoy a good thing. The only thing by Lennox is that I wish we could go back to the old time days, boy. I tell you, I miss the 70s and the 80s.
Yeah, our innocence
I miss that, boy. All also the paranging in Santa Cruz and thing, but you know what I mean? Those are the wonderful days with the lava. Listen. I don't know about that, but I really miss the roads. Anyway, I want to compliment you on your fireplace, man. I love your fireplace. Yes, but listen, I love your fireplace. Anyway, on a more serious note,
yes.
I don't want to talk about no politics at this time of the season. When it's 2024, from day one, it's jamming. From day one, the first, let me give it at least the 2nd of January, is jamming. I'm telling you, enough is enough with this PNM government, boy. And the funny thing about it, Lennox, is you might say I drift into it a little bit, but I'll tell you one thing, and these supporters of PNM don't understand this a little bit, or at least they don't get it through the thick skull. They just talk about this other party is corrupted and whatever. I ain't calling him. What I mean calling him, party and thing. Anyway, do you know? Check this out, Sinanan, Faris, Young, Delilah Singh. I told you he was my classmate in Kira Presbyterian School.
Yes,
this is true, Yeah, this is true, Trust me. When we used to play football in the back at Kira Presbyterian School, because they ain't finished a new one as yet, PNM refused to finish it. When we used to play football in the back at Kira Presbyterian School in Savannah, and anybody kick a ball to the Singh, he goes stop it because he didn't know which foot to kick it with. I'm serious about that. He didn't know he left foot from the right foot. Serious.
You have the studio audience laughing. I have some people in here and they're laughing.
But I'm serious. Listen, why would I make up a joke? I mean, something serious like that. I went to school with the man in Kira Presbyterian School. We eat this from the same desk. I played cricket with him together. Oh, I'm talking about cricket. He was the only one, like certain fellas from certain big high school. He was the only one in Kira Presbyterian School. Here what you have? He have the stumps, he have bat, he have pad. The only thing he didn't have was the pitch and the matting.
and he can't play
either.
And he didn't have the ability either.
Well, of course, like I just telling you the ability. Well, listen, if the man ain't know he left foot from the right foot to kick the ball, sometimes he batting right hand, he batting left hand. He ain't know how to even hold a bat. I'm telling you, I mean, listen, I would love to meet you one of these days, one-on-one, and talk to him. Anyway, apart from the politics again, brother, let's get serious now. Blessings to Anita, brother, blessings to everybody in Trinidad and Tobago, and I wish everybody a blessing and a safe and a prosperous New Year. Lennox, to you and our family especially, and especially, to Peter and them fellas and them, please, God bless, take care, love you all. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And if Pitbull was here, he would have said that that is a traditional salutations, and therefore the reality is that we catching our Aunt Nenen and everything else, and therefore that ain't no good. But that is how it is, whether it's a funeral, whether it be, of course, on occasions like these. We don't want to sully it without, of course, giving the due respect that the occasion is, because times change in terms of the true essence, and therefore we must attempt as far as possible to maintain it. But at the same time, where our leaders are concerned and they have disrespected it, and of course in circumstances where they gaslight or hoodwink or deceive or attempt, of course, to paint a picture that is not real, as the first caller did, we need to respond. And I want to say, it ain't have no Christmas with Rowley and them in terms of deceiving us. It's only Thursday last, mere days, less than a week before Christmas, Rowley come with that talk about plenty money for Trinidad, and totally ignoring the fact that he was the 2 Thursdays before irritated, he angry, he was extremely choleric, he was bitter, saying that and those to put under the bus, almost fired if he had the opportunity, because that is the nature and the evil of the man. That is his DNA. He cares about no one except those that he prefers and rather and believe he could mold like if they are plasticine. And so when the permanent secretary in the Ministry of Education said that workers or employees in the government employ teachers, etc., and administrators would not have gotten their back pay, he was angry. So much so that they moved the man. If they could have fired him, they fired him. They moved him from the Ministry of Education and send him to holidays. And then when he returns, he goes to another ministry. That is, and what has happened is bacchanal, is disappointment. It is, of course, people are angry. They probably, some of them might have gotten something from Thursday gone to yesterday, and therefore at the mercy of the merchants and they who might have gotten wind that there is a windfall to come, because people have little choice now because Christmas is upon them and they got their back pay and will now be at the mercies of unscrupulous vendors. Apart from that, on top of that, many of the businessmen, the small fella, who couldn't get his or her Christmas goods. We are a merchant society. We have a large cadre of retailers who, of course, depend on foreign exchange on the one hand, which hardly they could get. And when, of course, they did get and decided, of course, to bring in a container of goods in time for Christmas, the inordinate delays on the port, and not that the government doesn't know or ought to know that you need to put more hands on deck, so to speak, as far as customs officers are concerned, and those persons who clear goods for commercial purposes and for the business community. Their goods are stuck up on both wharves, Port of Spain and Point Lisas. You understand the shambolic, the chaos, and the waste of people's time and money and hope that for the Christmas season they will get their goods, put it in the store, and they therefore not only create more competition so that the consumer gets a better price, the consumer is left with the little that are there who happen probably either to come early or they have goods left over from last year and they store it and wait for this period, because this is a seasonal sale in terms of things like toys, curtain, and of course things to embellish the home, but there is balloons and all. That is the situation in Trinidad and Tobago today, a shambolic situation. And Rowley come to tell us on Thursday that plenty money for Trinidad and Tobago. But Rowley, get the hell out of our faces, boy. You and your government with all your nonsense and with the potential and the real situation of being totally, of course, illusionary and delusionary, and believe you could project that onto the people and that they will keep it and accept it in perpetuity. I say to you, you are a consummate failure. And that nobody could help you. No psychologist, no sociologist, no partner geologist, no partner volcanologist. Nobody can help you. You simply have to get out of our faces. That you are a consummate failure. And I want to say that even though we attempt, of course, to recognize the season and for what it is and what it means, particularly for the Christian community, but the mundane, or should I say the non-Christian community or the carnal community, they know what it means as well, to take an extra drink, to maybe boil up a ham, maybe to eat turkey once for the year, and so on and so forth, and of course cake and bread, and of course not just the ambience, but the olfactory nerves, the nerve responsible, of course, for smell, will be very active with the beautiful aroma of Christmas.
Yes.
A pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Good night to you, Mr. Lennox.
Good night to you.
Your listeners. Season greetings to everybody live. Mr. Lennox.
Yes.
Mr. Rowley has to talk that because that is what his supporters will be talking about. More money next year, boy. Man, see more money. More the idea language, Mr. Lennox. But you see what I see on what I see on the people today, he and Scott Young holding something and what? The oil deal was good timing and this. But what will benefited me when I go in the grocery still thing high? Water bill going up, electricity done going up, property tax going up. Who this thing benefiting, Mr. Lennox? It's not benefiting me, but you see, he have a way, he could talk their language. Like a gentleman was passing in front by me, 4 years now without a pipe leak. He have a long stuff in his mouth, 30 grams. They just worship the trees. They just lie down around the tree, and they calm with that. So they their language, you know, he's saying, oh, this wasa thing happening all over the world. He don't know I'm the wasa. Yeah, but talking wasa trend, I don't know. It's happening all over the world. And if I see puffing, that is your language, Mr. Thing. Rowley know what he's saying. When he come and open the highway down the point here, he have to create something in the people's mind about corruption for them to talk. I went to point and that is what he's talking next day. You understand? That is how he will operate until the election. Keep his supporters and him like that. They make care about grocery. They make care about things going up high. They make care nothing. You understand? All them care is a Black Monday and the man say more money. The man say this. You understand? But let me cut everything short and wish everybody on the live all the best for the new year. We will continue praying with the God above. And we went through, as I said before, in 1986, we went through worse than that. And God will intervene. Don't frighten. What goes around comes around. God will intervene in some form or fashion. I went in Massey stores today and it was dead. It was dead. That's sorry for the workers. But the price is real high. Real high inside Massey stores.
Yeah, the consumers are at the mercy of those who get the goods in, on time, and that's it.
Yeah.
And they jack up in order to capitalize.
People getting smart. But when time to vote, they remain the same. They remain in that, that little clique. He will talk their language, their language. You understand? He will continue talking that language because there is supporters, and whoever he cannot get to think like he will buy them over. Will buy them over. So that is the man modus operandi. That's how he will operate. All of them. All of them. You see how they're moving like tax collectors for like up and down all in the malls and things like a long time in the Bible, how they have the tax collectors going over from house to house and whatever for property tax. Let it go ahead.
It's a good thing Jesus Christ born back then because Mary and them wouldn't have find a place at all in the stable.
None of them can smile truthfully in their heart and say for the last 8 years they have done something for the average citizen in this country.
Yeah.
So, to make them feel, well, look, a little, raise their head high and say, well, yes, this is Trinidad and Tobago we are living in. This is Trinidad and Tobago we know of. Understand? But no, it's only pressure. Watching in your face and lying and it's pressure. These is people. These is real people. These are these human beings. Anyway, let me do blood pressure to raise and to have a pleasant night. All the listeners and all the callers and him.
We want you for 2025 maximum for sure. 2025 maximum. All right.
All have a pleasant night. You take care, bye.
You and yours. Of course, once again, don't feel this thing is not about good verb and bad verb and a pink verb and green verb, etc. No, it is about expressing yourself. Once we could comprehend, once we could understand, we got to go, and of course we'll have a conversation because I'm sure this is what it is. It is all about, and if it is that it is local parlance, if it is local dialect, no problem. You just call, of course, one number to call 337-6940, 337-6940, and of course, if you still want to make a contribution, well, 336-6594. Of course, there is another call. Let's go there one time. Pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor. Welcome to the corridor.
Lennox, good night.
Yes, good night.
I hope that everybody have a safe Christmas as we are approaching Christmas. I hope everybody have a safe Christmas. Lennox, remember, I keep saying for the longest while that the things that taking place in the country that have an evil spirit was behind that.
Yes,
you see how Massey come and reveal what's going on?
Yeah, you were saying that. You really focused on that. Particularly, we said that you had some kind of vision, boy. Go ahead.
And mind you, when I heard that news, I said, but wait now. Massey, they be saying that they're making so much of profit. But here what going on, Lennox, they sacrifice some workers by sending them home, my cousin fallen it. They sent home my cousin after how much? 15 years. He was give them 15 years. They send him home, and he tell me next year they would have more workers to send home. But Massey they be making profit. And then again too, it's a video circulating on Facebook. You come across it sooner rather than later. We are a young lady. Endorsing what Massey doing, and she says she hope that she could get some money to come she way. So right now people looking to do anything right now to get money. Even said if she wanted to talk to she great grandfather to find out if it have any inheritance, so she go do that. And I just want to make a little joke. Before I go.
Go ahead.
They say don't vex with the little children and them who believe in Santa Claus. It's how big people believe in Keith Rowley. Locked on and listening.
I hear you, my friend. But it's very interesting that the caller before this one, YC, of course, was upset, obviously, and just like everybody else, I suppose, in the country, irate, including, of course, the sycophants, they will put a good face, put a good foot forward, just like Rowley and they. You feel Rowley and them don't know that the ass is grass. They know, but you see, but built in, and that's where I am comforted. Built into these discussions is a piece of knowledge, I should say, that would neutralize the perception that somehow Rowley and they have some hold on the country, that they are that they have something to do with being sacrosanct, that they are the ones that was chosen to run Trinidad and Tobago. But the caller before that, for example, whilst he was very skeptical, whilst he was very pessimistic, he also built into it the fact that 1986. I want to direct everybody's mind to 1995. I want to direct everybody's mind to 2010. I want to direct everybody's mind, of course, to when Kamala Prasad Bisesa, the UNC, who could not have even reached half of the local government regional corporations and take over the PNM in terms of the number of actual electoral districts won in this country. I want to tell you too that for 21 years the PNM dominated Tobago. And then of course you will know that you have to generate the balancing act. And no way could you be totally convinced that this is a fait accompli for Rowley and that they are going to win the next elections. Come on, come on. You must take solace in that. You cannot be, and yes, I know that what is maybe influencing more than ever is their policies and programs and their willingness to exhibit the evil that they have been exhibiting, so that our quality of life and standard of living has been decimated, and of course in a state of not only shambles but of course in a state of degradation, decline, and of course total poverty, inevitability with common sense. But why that is happening, I want to tell you that we are now in 2023, but by next week, is 2024. You see, the Lord moves in mysterious ways, his wonders to perform. Understand that. And therefore, whilst, of course, you are waiting and you are frowning and you are, of course, impatient, 2025 will just be upon us, when of course he has no choice but of course to do what is legally, constitutionally required. And in the meantime, of course, you and I, who of course are here every night and of course are prepared, of course, to seek external assistance, whether it be to influence and to of course make certain that the EBC act in the way that it was mandated to act by way of the legislation and the will of the people. And we continue, of course, to generate the conscientiousness and the sharing of information in the way that we have. Because remember, there are those who are disciples of the devil, Rowley and they, because let's face it, the devil has its own disciples as well. I wonder if they call them disciples. I know they call them imps. Well, Rowley has his imps as well. But they always see the glass half full, if not 3/4 full. And full is your destination. Full is your destination. So half full, 3/4 full, and it is, of course, climbing. UNC wasn't supposed, of course, to capture Sangre Grande Regional Corporation from the PNM. And it therefore belies the dominance and the assuredness and your perception that somehow Rowley and them comfortable. No. I can tell you, and believe you me, they know they are facing, of course, blue lights and the same silver bracelets he talked about. I talk about police handcuffs. That is what they are facing. Understand? So they are going to put out a good face. That is obvious, but is superficial. It is a facade. It is showing a good theatric performance. That's what that is about. Don't be bothered, man. Yes, be concerned about your circumstance, because it boils down that you can't provide for your family, you can't put a good meal on the table, the things in the stores are expensive, you had to penny pinch. That will come and pass. And let me tell you something, the latest is just part and parcel of that desperation. You see, I would not be surprised if we call an earlier election than in 2024 at least. Because I'm sure that internally inside of the PNM, it is called the internecine challenges that you would have had. Because I'm sure that people like Over and Padmore and those stalwarts who, of course, have been able to benefit and accomplish through the association with, and of course, hitching their wagon, their entire family, their career and development to the PNM. And see it in the kind of degradation and the kind of macabre, inevitable and destruction of an increasing degree under this viper called Rowley. The man is a sociopath. The man is a rapist and a pedophile, you know, understand that. So you ought not to be too perturbed about them. That's what you saw there, because you see, as I started with sandals, but watch me, the man met 5 billion US in the Heritage and Civilization Fund, you know. And he reduced that, you know. He met 10 billion in reserves, you know. And he reduced it according to well, you know, you can't believe them. My estimate is 4, that is there. They are saying 6. Whether that is so or not, half the amount is now there. Where the hell increased dollars? And how increased dollars from those projects that could only bring a couple $1 billion, replace that money that he utilize, and now giving us some cock and bull story, some figment of his pernicious and evil imagination, that somehow you must believe that that is a panacea and that is the best thing since sliced bread. Let him haul his tail. You cannot be so gullible, man. Come on. You cannot be. When you look at the facts, at the statistics, at the performance, and the degradation and deterioration of our circumstances across the board, and so much, and these fellas engage, of course, in what is considered to be profligous, a level of profligacy that is unbecoming. I ain't finished yet, you know. Apart from burning up a large chunk of the Heritage and Civilization Fund, the reserve that he met, and of course, borrow everything from local banks, including the mattress money that he concocted in order, of course, to let poor people put their monies into the bank so that he could borrow from the banks. And the banks are willing because they are part of the 1% and part of this, of course, pernicious conspiracy against the poor people to dispossess and deprive them. And when I say talk, poor people are talking about citizens of Trinidad and Tobago who has an equal right to the resources of the country, just as Rowley and anyone of his. I wonder if you could check their birth papers to find out if they are really Trinbagonians. We know about, of course, him's birth, and we know about, of course, who again? Lymore. Well, I want to tell you, Rowley is not a Trinidadian either, because he's from Tobago. And therefore, you people in the Martin West, you know what you have to do. He's an alien. But that is from that perspective. But let us continue. It ain't finished there yet. The man borrowed more money than anybody else in the past, you know. You ever say? I say he borrowed more money than anybody else in the past over the last 8 years. And the debt to GDP, the money that we have to pay back we owe creditors. And like everything, and you can't say like everything he has touched turned out to be a failure and a deception. And underneath all of that is some sinister plot that manifests itself in an action that is inimical and dangerous to Trinidad and Tobago overall. Yeah, what I say? I say that every single plot, it has to be plot now, every single conspirators conduct and so-called appreciative utterance, such as what he did on Thursday, such as what he told us about Sandals. Sandals was supposed to bring $500 million into the treasury of Trinidad and Tobago every year, you know. He's here for 8 years. Multiply that by 8 and see how much billions we're talking about. And not a blasted cent. You had time with that man? Or they have time to... I listen to him because I have to bring the information to you. But I hope you listen to him to get vexed, to get further vexed, and want election in the morning so that, of course, you will go. And, of course, tell him where to get off with this, because it is this that brought him into government. But, of course, it happened because he was able to deceive, as he is doing now, or attempting to do now. We know him now. So there's no need, of course, to waste time listening to him. It should go in one ears and come out the next ears. But always remember that they are not infallible. They are a political burden to Trinidad and Tobago. They have collapsed on themselves. They have done too much in too short a space of time that is evil and self-serving, and their level of avarice and their level of gourmandization of the resources of the country is spectacular. I tell you that the man borrowed more than anybody else. The man was able, I'm finished yet, you know, but let me finish that part before I go on to the next one. I'm so anxious to tell you the multiple things that you ought to be conscious of, and therefore know that can't last. How that can last? He could continue to build debts upon debts and stay in office. Or Trinidad as a country would not eventually rise up and deal with him with the hogwash that he speaks on a daily basis. You know what the debt to GDP is today? In 2015, Kamala Prasad, Mr. Sunday met, of course, in addition, of course, to what they would have inherited from the Manning administration. But by the time the 5 years was up, they had a debt to GDP of 44%. 44%. Today, it is vacillating around 90-something%. So he has doubled it in 8 years. You know what I say? I say he has doubled. 44 and 44 is what? 88? By 88% uncounted, because it's somewhere in the area of 90%. Almost 100%. Put in money terms, or over $190 billion. These rascals have chalked up, and he comes on Thursday, and you must know he insulted your intelligence. He must know he's fool. He trying to fool you. You must know that, and you must be angry, yes, but angry as him and wanting him to get out of office, but never at all must your mind be focused that he could stay in office with that kind of record. Come on, can't say. It's impossible. It's even though EBC may be on their side, because you have other factors, other variables that are at work that are working to ensure that the EBC stay where they ought to be and within the confines of having free and fair and free from fear elections, and that we must also find ways and means to, of course, put Rowley and they in a what I consider to be straight jacket. Because we know who they are. We have to be fools. It's only a fool who does the same thing over and over and expect the same results, including a person who has the same experience over and over, especially if they are bad experiences and don't know what to do. You see how Kamala and they move? You see Kamala learns a lesson? You see nothing he does they are impressed about, and he is annoyed because they are not impressed. That's what happened with Hero. He is annoyed because Kamala and they are not impressed with whatever he says. And they are correct, just as how we on this program, the Gong Report, and the Roberts, Victor, etc., are not impressed. It's only those who are feeding from the national trough, like, of course, Guardian, Express, Newsday, etc., that they are the people who are going to be impressed, not we. And it has turned out the Lord moves in mysterious ways, because the people who lead the news now, and from us, they take the news just now, when Rowley Tail is in the court for accusing me of rape, for accusing me of saying that he did not rape, accusing me of lying. In other words, you will see lying on him about rape. That rapist, who in the right mind as a sycophant, don't matter how much money again, whether it's CPEP at the lower level, whether it be, of course, a director of some corporation or a minister, could countenance or could accept that a man calling their boss the prime minister of the country, and a man who is, of course, rubbing shoulders with other leaders of the world, a blasted rapist and a pedophile every night, and he fails to do anything. Well, I will do something. It's just a matter of time. It's strategy here. Don't frighten. So let us not give them what they don't deserve. Do not do it. That reminds me of many parents in Laventille and Beetham and so on. I've had the unfortunate experience where as soon as the child gets into secondary school, and because the parent did not go to secondary school, automatically they believe that the child brighter than them. And what is more bizarre and more what I consider to be flumoxen or enigmatic, strange and of course queer and rare and of course mysterious, is that they feel that the child bringing in the money too. But they continue, of course, to pay the bills, whether it be light bill, whether it be rent, whether it be for the car, whether it's transportation for them, whether it's to buy books, uniform, etc. And they will have the child misguided and looking for guidance at that stage of their life. And the child giving them instructions and, of course, recommending how the house should be run, etc. That's a madness. It is a madness. That is how I see it. So Rowley and them cannot exist for much longer in regard to what they have done, and whether they repent, whether they appear to be in reversal, all of that, and Tobago demonstrate that they nearly empty a third of the treasury of the 2022 budget inside of Tobago, 2022-23 budget inside of Tobago. And Tobago made up their minds, just as how we make up our minds here in Trinidad. And let me bear Rowley and them naked, because the first caller, I think, she was brilliant. She understands. And she asked the question, and I have asked, where did this come from? What is their record? What is it for? Nobody knew them before. And we always talk about his history deliberately in politics from 1974. Why? Because in 1970, he was a member of NJAC, and they therefore diametrically opposed to Eric Williams, and they therefore diametrically opposed to the philosophy, principles, and the policies and programs of the PNM. So he's a total fake. Anybody born in Laventille would be considered themselves automatically more PNM than he. But because he is the consummate opportunist, and because he's the consummate exploitative individual, and because he is so intensely wicked, and because he tries to hide, try to make it incognito, his incompetence, and the man is a total and absolute holder or a man experiencing inferiority complex. He must know everything he touch fail. He's not stupid. He's not that dense. He's not that obtuse. He's not that inane. He's not that foolish and could be tomfooled. He knows that. And all of them around him too know that. But because he has so much influence over them, leading them down a gum tree and to their own demise, destruction, as if they are all on a political and social and economic and culture destruction mission. Utter destruction mission towards suicide, of course. Let's go straight to the lines. Let's go straight to the lines. Pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor. Pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Hello, good night.
Good night.
Yes, Mr. Lennox. I'm calling from New York.
Go ahead, New York.
Yeah, man. We got to get Rowley out of there, man. He making this country real go right down, man.
Everything wrong. Everything is wrong.
Yeah, man. This guy is just like something wrong with this guy, man.
Yeah, he is a sociopath. And a multiple one too. A recidivist sociopath.
Yeah, man. I'm planning to come back home, but what I'm seeing going on there, it's like I have to change my mind.
Yeah. And you should. I mean, is Baghdad revisited, and these days it could be Gaza revisited.
Yeah, honestly, I don't understand, man. Trinidad is, was a nice place, and when Kamala was there, man, the place was running so smooth.
Yes.
And now this guy come, he shut down Petrotrin. I work in the oil field. I work Trinma for about 15 years, and now it's like Point Fortin is like a ghost town.
Of course it is. Not like that. It is a ghost town. The level of hopelessness is baffling.
Oh my God, we gotta do something by Lennox, boy.
Yes,
we gotta get this man out of there.
Yeah, the time will come. The time is coming rapidly.
We can't wait for 2025, man. We gotta get him out of there before that.
Well, whether that is so or not, I know 2025 must come because we have taken on, and people have been saying, and we do it, of course, for psychological ease and to, of course, live in hope and optimism that 25 will come. So you try to, like the fellow who who finds solace in a bottle of rum or ganja or cocaine and so on is always temporary, but all of that is part and parcel of the waiting that you have to wait to get to the promised land, which is, of course, the 2025.
Yeah. And I don't want to take up much of your time, but you got a lot of ministers that's doing a lot of wrong things, man, and nobody's getting locked up. What's going on with that?
But that's what I'm saying. He has put together a criminal enterprise, a mafia syndicate that comprises those elements that you see there purporting to be ministers and so on. But in the fullness of time, they will have to, of course, pay the price for the evil that they would have perpetrated on the people of Trinidad and Tobago.
All right, man. So you have a wonderful evening, and season greeting to you and the family and the ground report.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, and you and your own as well as your family, and what you desire for the coming year as well.
Yes, man. May the good Lord give you health and strength and keep you guys strong, and and you guys keep on fighting.
Yes, will do. Thank you very much. All right.
Okay, have a blessed night. Good
Same
night.
to you. Yes. I ain't finished yet. I tell all you. In 2008, Trinidad and Tobago witnessed the most amount of murders. 2008. Record above all others before. Whether it be the Robinson administration, anyhow, whether it be the administration before. But in 2008, 537 murders. The following year was the second highest on record, 2009. I think it was 507 at that time. You know, come 2019, and after Rowley come into office 2016, 2017, 2018, and in the presence of then Commissioner of Police, our friend Gary Griffith, you know that he broke the record of those 2 previous years on the money. The period between 2010 and 2015, because if I say that I break the record, if I said that Money and Day had the record, it means that the period between Kamala Prasad Bisasa and the UNC between 2010 and 2015, the number of murders did not reach that record level. That is why. It's obvious. Common sense will tell you that. Rowley say, for example, as he said, of course, to give rationale for incompetence management and political ridiculousness and greediness, political greed. When he sent back the ferries, the company that was, of course, maintaining the 2 ferries when he came into office. Remember that? The Spirit and the Express. Remember that? When he met them. Those who today we could have still have it or have them. But he sent back the ferries that was maintaining and then put together a group of charlatans who they know A for bullfoot, but because they are attached to them, just like Rowley, a total and absolute charlatan attack, whether it work or whether it's about boat engineering, I put them there with boats at the break. Only them under Kamala Prasad, the boats are working because you had a professional people who know what they're doing, and therefore they had to pay good money to get that kind of expertise. Rowley decided, of course, to bring in mediocre. Anything connected to Rowley and the PNM, I think it's artificial. He can't win a fair election. He's a thief. He has to tell, of course, the African community, the Indian community, fake the degrees. And shame, so shame that they cannot, of course, face their own shame. You know, like the person saying the Bible talks about people wishing that the mountain fall on them. For simple, but that's already. If it said that the first 100 in the C exam is, of course, people with our same of Narai, of Mirage, of even Sinanan. Just to put a little sport into it. Not that Sinanan is any brain. He's a total dunderhead and, of course, obtuse and most likely would have spent most of his time, I'm sure, at the back of the class, or his best subject might have been recess or break time or the August holidays. That may be his best time in school, having regard to the kind of nonsense that he speaks on a daily basis. But the point I'm making is that Banda was sent back, and those 2 boats will limp along and, of course, mash up the sea bridge as a consequence of that kind of poor decision, because he believed that somehow, once a person connected to the PNM, they suddenly get brilliant. Well, I want to tell him, a dunce will always be a dunce like him. A rockhead will always be a rockhead. So, you know what you're say? I make it this. He said that both and them would have deteriorated anyway. They would have become unrepairable. They would have been impaired anyway, because he get the boat and them on the last leg. You hear that, man? That he got the boats and them on the last leg, and that is why the sea bridge was, of course, destroyed anyway. All kinds of excuses. It shows that the man has a serious complex. If you didn't see it, complex, you authored a biography saying that you from Mason Hall to Whitehall on this journey. And at the time, Whitehall was not a was ludicrous about it. Nobody was occupying Whitehall at that time when he came to be prime minister. We know about total lies and deception and so on. I was prepared to engage in treason by lying on a prime minister. saying that she was conspiring, of course, to kill a journalist. You understand what is happening here? But I was making the point that those are the kind of excuses he will make. And the same reason he made, of course, for what? For taking away laptops. He said the young people are what? Are playing games and watching pornography. You know, it's the same laptop. But, of course, he can't help it. It is always the two, of course, to be counterproductive. He say that the people must have some kind of demonstration that they must do a means test in order to get. He can't help being destructive. The man is the epitome. Everywhere he goes, anything he touches, it's destruction. I say all of that to say when he made the argument for the 800 million payment was another one of those kid and conman and criminal and abuse and misbehavior decisions, and he got the whole cabinet to agree to close down Petrotrin when all of the evidence shows all of the three major reports and research on the subject of what to do with Petrotrin never contemplated the closing down of Petrotrin. Understand that? And the single reason again for the closing down, and the cabinet agreeing, that is why they must be criminally investigated for misbehavior and the breach of the integrity in public life and a number of other criminal code that because his name was in the fake corner. He as Prime Minister, instead of course, calling the police or the Minister of National Security about the any drilling fake oil matter, he called the partner, the owner of the allegation of fake oil, and they have not proven that it wasn't fake oil. Because you see, the evidence of Franklin Card is crucial because they were so proud. And I want to say, to get for themselves the largest the spoils of this so-called dry well that suddenly started to produce thousands of barrels a day. Thousands of barrels a day. Today, they back demand the oil and can't produce a good 100 barrels. A good 100 barrels. They give it back. Because Rowley was of course, as the chairman of the legacy company, Michael Kwamina, to supervise the whole thing. So obviously they doctor the information and therefore, of course, give back the man, the arbitrator, give back the man the contract, and of course the monies that was owing to them. Now I have no difficulty if it is, of course, 100%, but they must get paid for all that they in fact sent. And then they must face the current system, respect, of course, attempting to defraud the state with fake oil. But that happened. That is man at the epicenter of the evil and the destruction and the decimation of Trinidad and Tobago. And when you put those building blocks in place, when you put those elements in place, when you put those factors in place, your comments will tell you that it's a matter of time. Hitler was there too. Hitler was there from 59 to 55. After the night. Hey, it's not you. We have a caller. We take it anyhow we get it. A pleasant good night. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yesterday morning, somebody said, right?
Yeah.
So, you know that this country was a church of men. And she was having it.
Yes.
What is this? When you are saying she was planning to she was keeping the, in a corner to the law.
I'll be right back. Just give me 1 second on this. You feel people are fools? Back in 2015, that is what he said. In addition to saying that if the PNM coming into government, anybody say that they will implement property tax, they are liars. That is what he said. So the point I am making, I'm saying all that to say, if I was Kamla Prasad Bisesa and I didn't get around to repealing that law, the property tax law that was on the books still, based on what Rowley said, and based on the fact that he got into office because people were thinking that he was an honorable man, people were thinking that he was a corruption buster, people were thinking that he would be a man of his word, people would be thinking that he... No, it's on. Yeah, people would be thinking that he is an honorable man, etc., etc. Yes, indeed. So it's not logical, and that is where the hoodwinking, the innuendos, and the attempt, of course, to engage in what is called sophistry, duplicitous behavior, and square peg and round hole logic. Square peg and round hole logic. If I was Kamla Prasad Bisasa and the Prime Minister, and my competitor, my opponent says, listen, he thinking just like me. Rowley was thinking just like Kamla Prasad Bisasa. He said that the property tax was already dealt with. And he went on to say that under the then Minister of Finance, Larry Hawaii, they're bringing back the land and building taxes. And in the following order, he said in the order as well, you'll hear it in a while. He said first they're dealing with the industry, the commercial, lands, property, then of course with agriculture, and then with of course residential. You hearing all of that, and you would think that man lying by. But more than that, he went on to say that anybody in the opposition to him or in the government saying that a PNM coming to government will bring back that tax is the highest level of dishonesty. Is the highest level of dishonesty. And mind you, he went on to say that was characteristic of the Kamla Prasad Bisesa administration. In other words, he was actually saying that he see in others that which is in him, and that he was actually telegraphing what he will do, but of course attempting, of course, to hoodwink and to deceive and to deflect attention, and of course, at the end of the day, hit all of us for 6. Hit all of us for 6. I should say 12. Yeah, I know 12 in cricket, but I'll double that distance that the ball has to go. That is the viper that we're dealing with. And coming in our faces, and people coming to defend what? And say that Kamala should have done what? In hindsight, I could understand that she might have said, well, that would have been a consideration if she knew or if she believed that Rowley was not dishonest and that he would have not done what he said he would have done. Leave the status quo as it is. But to say that them leave it, and the man so wicked, nasty, and evil. You know, he said she left it there for him to implement. I'm getting it. I don't have this not working. This not working. So people, just give us an indication if you are hearing me, because I don't have anything to monitor the audio in studio. The speaker copped out on me today. So But I will continue. I have full confidence in the system that the audio is all right because I'm seeing all the indications here. I'm seeing all the indication here. I don't want to make any adjustments that is unnecessary. Not so? I'm talking to my people in studio, and you hearing it now? So what's that playing there? Yeah. Okay, people. Well, I think things are, because I've seen it looking perfect in here, but don't forget that there's a delay, and of course they are hearing what I am saying in real time, but they have to wait until it comes through the system before, of course, they can hear. So probably that is what has confused them. So, because you will hear instantaneously what I am saying, because it has to go through several processes before, of course, you get it out there through the internet, of course. All right, so the point I am making, let's get clear here again. Rowley said about 4 things so that anybody with a modicum of common sense, Kamala Prasad, as I said, I have no brief for Kamala, but if it's me, if Rowley came across as an honest man, if Rowley came across as a man who is a defender of integrity and a corruption buster. Of course, contrary to who Rowley is in government, he is a blasted corruption promoter and he has no damn integrity. But he said then, in that scenario, he said then, one, that the property tax was already dealt with by Kamala Prasad Bisesa. He said that in support of that argument, he said that Larry Hawaii, the Minister of Finance at the time under Kamala Prasad Bisesa, reverted back to land and building taxes. That is the same tax that we were getting before the law was passed under Manning administration. It was under Manning administration that law was passed. Because remember, it was Manning called election in 2010. So 2009, he would have still been in office. So they wanted to implement that in 2009. Rowley opposed it. Rowley opposed it as a man seeking to unseat Manning inside of the party. Understand that. He said that not one of his constituents could afford $100. So you see, from the beginning, the man was poisoned. Man was dishonest to the hilt. And let us not fall for that kind of hogwash and that kind of what I consider to be tutu. Yeah, that kind of filth that comes out of his mouth, that political kobo, and of course, not just political predator, but of course, a sexual predator, a rapist, and a pedophile. And you have a right, just as me, to get blasted angry, using that as what? And as I said, it's not the first time he concocted those blasted emails and said that somebody wanted to kill a journalist, the sitting prime minister. That is treason. We must not allow him to get away with that again, man. So all them whole asses that, of course, are trying to say that Kamala should have repealed. That is voice in the wilderness. The circumstances of the time does not equate to that kind of logic. That is wishful thinking, and that is people who, of course, are opposed to, of course, Kamala Prasad Bisesa and the UNC getting into office. Let us not. Because you are going to get them, especially those who are still eating from the PNM ill-gotten trough. You hear what I say? From the PNM ill-gotten trough. You can't insult my intelligence. Rowley was opposed to property tax under Manning. At a time when the government of the day under Manning got the most amount of money, 2008, from oil, gas, and petrochemical. Most amount. In other words, We were better off then than we were coming out of COVID and under Rowley prior to COVID. And now after COVID, we are doubly worse off, and he wants to implement property tax. In order to do that now, some asshole is saying that Kamala should have what? Should have what? Pleasant good night. I will return to that in a while. Pleasant good night. Welcome.
All right, Lennox, how you going?
I'm all right. If I'm just getting more and more angry with stupid people who can't even reason properly in such a simple case where it is common sense to just apply. It appears that common sense is not as common as one would have think, particularly inside of the PNM and that government. They mustn't get away with that. That is what? That is gaslighting. Go ahead, my friend.
Can they get away with the whole COVID fiasco with that soup opera they have every day? Every morning they call in a press conference and talking a pack of rubbish. And people buy up that and vote them back in, you know?
Yeah, that was then. That was then. They come full circle now. They say come full circle now. I am not perturbed with that. It has come full circle, and people must understand that is they will die trying because they know that their political fortunes and the political fodder and the political opportunities are waiting, and of course deteriorating, sinking, and clearly have sunk, collapsed. Good morning. Sorry, good night, my friend. Sorry about that.
Well, I see the Prime Minister beating up his chest and say that they get through with the dragon gas, weed, and all these other things to go.
Yeah, but he said the same thing about sandals. He said the same thing about sandals too, so that's all right. He said the same thing about that same thing about 5 years now. So let him go ahead.
Well, whatever profits are coming out of that gas field, that ain't going to come to me and you know, that is more for them to see.
Of course.
And that's what it's about. The result of that.
Yes.
Because the rich will keep getting richer and we will be getting poorer.
Yeah, you
that
can
is
keep
the whole mantra going on.
Yeah, keep that in your
right?
head or something. And,
they don't see already what they were trying to do with this property tax.
Yes.
The opposition was going to implement it on the business first and then after the people, then do the reverse. They put people first and business we know when. Because no mention of me make out that, you know.
Yeah.
When they're going to implement it on business and all these other places. But we go feel the music. Because from next month, when you see the poorer class at the place more higher end, right? And the $3 they give the people for the minimum wage, that gone. Because you have to pay increase with rent and most of these people renting. Landlord ain't going to take that music, they are passed on the people. Right?
Yeah.
And the day they implemented on the business class, right? They went everything in the food-wise and goods and services wise, that going up too.
Yeah.
So that twofold one, people get it wrong, and the first one, this one go affect people who are renting.
I just want to tell you that I didn't realize it's 14 minutes past 10, so I need to terminate.
Oh, that's on.
Yes, okay, yes. Yes, indeed. People, of course, I didn't realize it was so late. At the same time, I mean, time has really flown. Of course, what I wanted to let me just play that particular piece so that you will get an appreciation as to what as to his position, and you'll be able to, of course, ratify what I am saying, or deny, or adjust it, or go and look for it on YouTube and hear what he had to say at the Hyatt on that matter in 2015. So there we go, people.
Dreaded property tax. The dreaded property tax. Anybody telling the population that this PNM coming into office will bring back that tax is the highest level of dishonesty. What this UNC government did a few years ago, they returned to London building taxes in phases. The first phase of bringing the tax back was to treat with commercial properties. The second phase was agricultural properties. And the third phase is the residential. So as I speak to you now, arrangements are already in place put by this UNC administration for land and building taxes to come back into being after September 7th. That was done by Larry Hawaii when he became Minister of Finance. So for anybody telling the population that this PNM coming into office will bring back that tax is the highest level of dishonesty.
So you see this ugly man only capable of doing and projecting ugly things. And you have his talk show hoax and then hoax, so they themselves being phantoms of to the truth. You heard him that the tax was already dealt with, property tax, and that they were going to bring back land and building taxes, and they were going to do it in a way that he has not done it. He has targeted the ordinary person first. I talk about residential first. They understood that businessmen will be much more able to take that strain first and foremost. So they started with business first, but he Rowley started with you and I, and still on top of that looking to increase light bills, electricity bills, looking to increase water rates for you and I. You and I are the whipping boys. They want to beat us into poverty because them alone want to be rich. And some backside saying that Kamala should have what? After he said that on a stage before election, there was no need to focus on that because they had the same position. So Kamala would have thought, and so the entire country would have thought, because when he said at that same meeting that he reducing VAT from 15 to 12.5%, everybody say right. He did it. But what he did not do, or what he did parallel to that, side by side with that, is take off the 7,000 items that were not subjected to VAT under Kamala Prasad Bisesa. And he never told us that rapscallion. That rapscallion, you could see that it's pure criminal behavior that these fellas intended and executed now that they got in there, having hoodwinked that portion of the population to give them 23 and 22 seats in the parliament. One more than one that could give them the edge. 22 and 23 seats. And today we eating the bread that the devil need. And people could come to me and telling me about that nonsense. Run them. Listen to him again for the last time for the night.
Live from the Hyatt Regency Hotel. The People's National Movement to
Dreaded property tax. The dreaded property tax. Anybody telling the population that this PNM coming into office will bring back that tax is the highest level of dishonesty. What this UNC government did a few years ago, they returned to land and building taxes in phases. The first phase of bringing the tax back was to treat with commercial properties. The second phase was agricultural properties. And the third phase is the residential. So as I speak to you now, arrangements are already in place put by this UNC administration for land and building taxes to come back into being after September 7th. That was done by Larry Hawaii when he became Minister of Finance. So for anybody telling the population that this PNM coming into office will bring back that tax is the highest level of dishonesty.
And what is more dishonest about these people is that today Imbert is trying to make it look as though property tax and land and building taxes one and the same, because he's trying to couch it by saying, people always pay taxes and property tax, suggesting is similar to that of land and building taxes, feeling that people are perpetual asses like them. Come on. And just before we go, let me just tell you what we're going to deal with tomorrow night. And tomorrow morning, of course, I expect that Dr. Khaled will be with me tomorrow morning from 8 to 10 o'clock. From 8 to 10 o'clock, Dr. Khaled will be with me. But listen to this.
$4 billion fuel subsidy. Over $1 billion.
This was when Imbert was in opposition. He loves subsidy too bad. He vexed with the UNC for, of course, hiking up prices, because he said that the benefits are not passed on to the consumers because the oil companies were paying. But Rowley tell us that too, that the oil companies were paying, but he take out the subsidy. But he Imbert, he and the PNM vexed when Kamala Prasad Bisasa and they kept a price on that did not reflect what he felt should have been because of the presence of subsidy. So he was a subsidy lover. A subsidy lover then, because they're in opposition. Just as how Rowley was a black people and, of course, the Beatam and Sealots and African lover when he was in opposition. As soon as he gets in government, not only the country's prisons are filled with Africans, but of course wanted to impose draconian measures, no bail, and of course draconian gangster or gang laws, when that should also apply to that gang called the PNM that has built that monstrosity for over $100 million, and they can't tell us where they get the money from. That is gangsterism.
Paid by the oil companies and not by the government of Trinidad and Tobago. And what the minister is supposed to do, he's supposed to pass on the benefits of the oil levy on to consumers. The subsidy on premium gas is 73 cents. The subsidy on super gas is $1.83, and the subsidy on diesel is $2.71. What this means, Mr. Speaker, is the true cost of premium gasoline is $4.73. Why is the minister making consumers pay $5.75 for premium gas? Why are you taking the petroleum levy that the oil companies pay, not taxpayers, and not applying it to subsidize the price of premium gas? What are you doing? You are breaking the law.
From TV6, 2 questions. What's the PNM's policy going forward on the fuel subsidy?
The fuel subsidy is not targeted for removal. The fuel subsidy is not targeted for removal, because as the oil price drops, the quantum of the subsidy will also fall. But we, in the context of the mass transit considerations, could see a relationship between both, where if we
making consumers pay $5.75 for premium gas. Why are you taking the petroleum levy that the oil companies pay, not taxpayers, and not applying it to subsidize the price of premium gas? What are you doing? You are breaking the law.
From TV6, 2 questions. What's the PNM's policy going forward on the fuel subsidy?
The fuel subsidy is not targeted for removal. The fuel subsidy is not targeted for removal, because as the oil price drops, the quantum of the subsidy will also fall. But we, in the context of the mass transit considerations, could see a relationship between both, where if we do.
We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a dance all New Year. Great tidings, Natty Jane bring.
Yes, people, of course, we have come to the end of tonight. Tomorrow, of course, we will continue with the subsidy. And you will see the deliberateness and the orchestration and the conspiracy to get into government and to, of course, engage in the most blatant, the most conspicuous, the most deliberate, the most brutal, the most greedy, avarice, mismanagement, corruption, nepotism, cronyism, self-serving, and the maintenance of a political status quo nestled, of course, in fraud and thievery. Have a wonderful rest of the night. Tomorrow morning, don't forget, from 8 to 10 o'clock, Dr. Khaled and myself on the corridor transformation. Until tomorrow night once again, when we will, of course, deal with subsidies side by side with, of course, property tax, and dismiss the foolishness and the deception. Rowley and them wouldn't have a nice Christmas at all. They ought not to have a nice Christmas. But you have a wonderful rest of the night.
Everybody in the dance hall singing. Everybody in the dance hall rocking. Everybody is skanking and a rocking. And a broke pocket dear. We rub up and a scrub up and a skanking. We skank and a rocking and a moving. We move and a rocking and a dub wise. And a happy new year. We wish you Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a happy Dubwise. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a dance New Year. Great tidings, Natty Jane bring you. Great tidings, Natty Jane bring you. Great tidings, Natty Jade bring you. Pan a broke pocket dear. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a happy, happy, happy broke pocket dear. Since God broke pocket day, I never tell you about the day, 'cause I know about the Christmas. I wanna tell you, said I know about the Christmas. Right now, I thought some curb free now, but to them it's a Christmas. This day I feel a day.